So in this video, I'll be going over how we can budget using the 50-30-20 rule. If you haven't heard of it already, it's basically just a strategy to budget your money into 3 different categories, but I'll go more into those later on in the video. Now, I know a lot of people think budgeting is boring to do or takes so long to do, but you really don't have to spend much time doing it if you have everything set up. Like, you can literally sit down for one day of the month for 90 minutes max and you'll be done. It's the same reason people who go to the gym track their calories. If they didn't track their calories, they would have no sense of direction as to how much they were eating, so it would be hard for them to either gain weight or even lose weight. So before I show you the budget sheet, let's go over what the 50-30-20 rule actually is. Essentially, it's where you take your income and split it into 3 different categories: your needs, your wants, and your savings or investments. So your needs are basically your fixed expenses. So this could be something like your car payments, your rent, your bills, and just basically things you absolutely need. Your wants are a bit more flexible, so you could be eating out or doing some online shopping, so you can think of it as money you can have a bit more fun with. Finally, your savings or investments. Now, I'm sure you can guess where this is going to go towards, but just to be clear, you want to have some sort of goal when you're either saving or investing, whether it's long-term or short-term. Maybe you're saving for a trip abroad, or maybe just to get a gift for someone. The point is, having a goal gives you more of a purpose to save. Just to give some context, you could put a certain amount into your stocks and shares ISA every month, or maybe you're building your emergency fund, so you want to put it towards that. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be these things, but it does give you more of a structure when you split it up. So now that you have a rough idea of how the 50-30-20 rule works, let's get into the actual budget spreadsheet template I use and see how you can get started. And just a quick heads up, I'm going to make sure that every penny is used so nothing actually goes to waste. Each penny is actually going to have a job, whether it's working for you or it's actually going towards your flexible expenses. So as you can see, we have our income, our savings, our fixed expenses, and finally our flexible expenses or wants. Now, these have a little percentage next to them just to give you a guideline on how much of your income you should be spending on it. Remember, it's not set in stone, so if this doesn't work for your situation, then feel free to change it around. And what I mean by that is maybe you put 70% of your income towards fixed expenses and only 10% towards your wants and 20% towards your savings. So if you're young, you probably don't have a lot of fixed expenses, so it could be 20-30-50 instead of 50-30-20. But you get the idea. So first, we want to figure out how much we have coming in for the month. Now, I've actually used the average salary in the UK, and preferably you want this to be after tax. So once you've plugged in your income, wherever it might be, whether your parents send you money every month or you have a part-time job, we can now move on to savings. And you probably heard pay yourself first before, but what does this actually mean? This just means that as soon as you get your paycheck, contribute it towards some sort of savings or investments, so it will pay you back in the future. So the first thing you want to do when you get paid is put it towards your savings or your investments. Now, this could mean your stocks and shares ISA, your emergency fund, maybe some crypto investments, or a long-term savings goal. And if you're in debt, you can put some money aside for that too. Putting money towards your stocks and shares ISA can actually be really beneficial if you utilize it properly, and this is because it has a lot of tax advantages. I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but I'll leave some articles below and go into it in much more depth in a future video. Now, before you're saving or investing, you want to make sure you have an emergency fund, and this should be a minimum of 3 months worth of your expenses. Now, in case anything happens, we don't want to go into our savings or have to sell our investments. If you're saving for something long-term like a house or a car, feel free to put money towards that too. So now that your money has been put to work and you don't need to think about saving at the end of the month, moving on to the fixed expenses, we're going to have to pay the bills. Like I mentioned before, these are things like your rent, your phone bills, car insurance, and maybe credit card payments if you have any. This probably stresses a lot of people out because we have to pay it. So I'm just going to use the averages in the UK for the numbers and plug them in. So for our mortgage and rent, I've got £868, transport roughly around 50, student loans 20, and credit card, and just even if it's the minimum, you ideally just want to pay off in full each month, but if you're not able to do that, we want to pay at least the minimum. And as you can see, that is nearly 50% of our income already gone towards our fixed expenses. So now that we've covered our savings and our fixed expenses, we have 837 left over to do whatever you want to do with it guilt-free. Now, maybe you could put this more towards savings or in fixed expenses, but let's just go over our flexible expenses first. With our flexible expenses, we have a lot of control with what we can do with our money, and based on a single person, I'm going to fill this out. So let's say weekly shop of around £35 for groceries, which is around 140 per month. Gym can be around £25 per month. If you do laundry and you're a uni student, it's around £20 per month. So even after that, we still have 652 left over. So based on what you normally spend on during the month, you can fill it out. But let's say you want to travel somewhere in 3 months as a short-term goal, you can put it towards that. So if you wanted to go to Amsterdam in 3 months and you need to have around £900 to cover everything you need, you'd have to put towards £300 a month towards that goal, each month to reach that goal. So we can change that so it's got Amsterdam and put 3 months worth, so that would be £300 a month towards that goal. Now let's say self-care. Let's say we spend around £30 a month towards self-care. Now this can be things like trims or getting your nails done, whatever it is. Now you can always put the rest towards your savings or investments if you're pretty frugal, or maybe you want to splash a bit. At the end of the day, it's your money. So I'm just gonna add around £200 towards the ISA because I completely forgot to put that in. But you can put more towards your savings, like I said, or maybe you have some birthdays coming up and you want to get some gifts, so maybe put another £100 towards that. And eating out, let's see how much we have left. We've got £22 left, so let's just say 22. So we've spent our money and put it into the 3 different categories. But now we want to look at our overall budget and see what we actually think of it. Think about if you're living above or under your means. Maybe you're overspending on something. And that's one of the reasons why actually sitting down and doing this will actually let you know what's happening. But most importantly, make sure you're enjoying yourself and have fun with it. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is just to give you a certain structure. You also want to think about if the budget is actually supporting your goals. Do you need to save or invest more? Maybe less. You can always move things around, and like I said, it's not set in stone. You want to make it fit around your situation and adjust it accordingly to that. Remember, keeping track of your budget will give it a structure, and it lets you be conscious of your spending so you actually know what's happening with your money. Now, I know there's going to be people who just do this for 1 month, but when you look back at that month, you're going to realize how much of a difference it actually makes. Hope you got some value from this, and feel free to ask any questions below. And please like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.